Hello Planeswalkers! Andrew here, bringing you a new deck tech based on my favorite creature from Commander Legends, Kediss, Emberclaw Familiar. My normal deck list for this deck has Thrasios as its partner, and runs more expensive cards since I tend to use a lot of proxies. However, for the purposes of this video, I edited the list to cut it down to just over $50 in market value. That way you can build it in paper without breaking the bank. To that end, Kediss' new partner is now Kydele, chosen of Kruphix. Kediss says whenever a commander you control deals combat damage to an opponent, they also deal that much damage to each other opponent. Kydele can tap to add a colorless for each card you've drawn this turn. Not as useful as Thrasios, but it gets us the Temur color set. I built this as a Voltron deck, suiting up Kediss to smack all three opponents at once for big damage. Starting off the Voltron strategy is Barreling Attack, which gives Kediss trample and +1/+1 for each creature that blocks him. Blackblade Reforged gives Kediss +1/+1 for each land you control. Bloodsworn Steward gives your commanders +2/+2 and haste. Canopy Cover gives Kediss flying and hexproof without giving him flying and hexproof. Colossus Hammer gives +10/+10 and causes the equipped creature to lose flying, but they can gain flying after the hammer is equipped. Fiend Lash gives +2/+0 and reach, and whenever the equipped creature takes damage, they deal damage equal to their power to a player or planeswalker. Gorgon's Head gives Kediss Death Touch. Grafted Exoskeleton gives +2/+2 and Infect. Grappling Hook gives Double Strike and lets you force a creature to block the equipped creature when it attacks. Guardian Augmenter gives your commanders +2/+2 and Hexproof. Jace, Arcane Strategist, puts a +1/+1 counter on a creature you control when you draw your second card each turn, and you can +1 him to draw one. Leering Emblem gives Kediss +2/+2 for the turn whenever you play a spell. Magebane Armor gives +2/+4 and it causes the equipped creature to lose flying, and it prevents all non-combat damage that would be dealt to it. Mirror Shield gives +0/+2 and destroys any creature with Death Touch that blocks or is blocked by the equipped creature. It also gives Hexproof. Nettlecast gives +1/+1 for each artifact and enchantment you control, and on entry it makes a 0/0 germ and equips itself to it. Obelisk of Erd lets you choose a creature type and then it gives those creatures +2/+2. Octopus Umbra gives Kediss base stats of 8/8, and he can tap down a creature with power 8 or less when he attacks. And it has Totem Armor, which destroys the enchantment instead of Kediss if he would die. Prowler's Helm makes Kediss unblockable by anything that's not a wall. Ring of Colonia gives Kediss Trample. If you equip it to a green creature, that creature gets a +1/+1 counter on each upkeep. Rogue Rock is an alternate Voltron target, if Kediss is unavailable for some reason. Sigil of Distinction costs X and enters with X charge counters on it. It costs 1 charge counter to equip, and it gives +1/+1 for each charge counter on it. Swiftfoot Boots gives haste and hexproof. Sword of the Meat gives +1/+2, and whenever a 1/1 enters your field while this is in your grave, you can return it to the field from the grave attached to that 1/1, which Kediss conveniently is. Tenza, Godo's Maul, gives +1/+1, an extra +2/+2 if the equipped creature is legendary, and Trample if it's red. Finally, Trailblazer's Boots gives the equipped creature non-basic land walk, which makes it unblockable by anyone with a non-basic land. Kediss isn't the only creature you'll have, so there are some cards that support all of your creatures. Anger gives your creatures haste if it's in your grave and you control a mountain. Archetype of Aggression gives your stuff trample and prevents your opponents from having trample. Bloodspore Thrinax has Devour 1, letting you sack creatures when it enters to give Thrinax that many +1/+1 counters. It then gives your creatures that many +1/+1 counters when they enter. Blossoming Bog Beast gains you 2 life when it attacks, then gives your creatures +1/+1 for each life that you've gained this turn. Crash Through gives your creatures trample for the turn and draws you a card. Dictate of the Twin Gods has Flash and doubles all damage. Goblin War Drums gives your creatures a menace. Hall of Triumph has you choose a color, and it gives your creatures of that color +1/+1. Invigorated Rampage gives 1 creature +4/+0 and trample, or 2 creatures +2/+2 and trample. Loyal Guardian has trample, and if you control your commander, it puts a +1/+1 counter on each of your creatures at the start of combat on your turn. For support, you've got Geode Golem, which has trample, and when it hits an opponent, you can cast your commander for free this turn. This is good because Kediss is likely to be removed multiple times throughout the game. Hadana's Climb puts a +1/+1 counter on a creature at the start of combat. Then, if that creature has 3 or more +1/+1 counters on it, it transforms, becoming a land that taps for any color, or you can pay and tap it to give a creature flying and double its power and toughness for the turn. Hazoret's Monument makes your red spells cost 1 less, and whenever you cast a creature, you can discard 1 to draw 1. Infiltration Lens has you draw 2 when the equipped creature is blocked. Myth Unbound has you draw 1 whenever your commander enters the command zone, and it cuts your command tax in half. Simic Ascendancy lets you pay to put a +1/+1 counter on a creature. Whenever a +1/+1 counter is put on one of your creatures, Simic Ascendancy gets a growth counter, and on your upkeep, if it has at least 20 growth counters on it, you win the game. As for defense, you've got Chaos Warp, which shuffles a permanent into its owner's deck, then they reveal the top card of their deck, and if it's a permanent, they put it onto the field. Counterspell is Counterspell. Obscuring Haze can be cast for free if you have your commander out, and it prevents all damage your opponent's creatures deal this turn. Predator Flagship can be paid to either give a creature flying, or destroy a flying creature. Swerve can change the target of his spell with a single target. Now on to Ramp, starting with Arcane Signet, which taps for 1 mana of any color. Burnished Heart can be sacked to search up 2 basics. Commander's Sphere can tap for any color and can be sacked to draw 1. Cultivate has you search up 2 basics and put 1 onto the field tapped and 1 into your hand. Farseek has you search up a land of any basic land type other than forest and put it onto the field tapped. Growth Spiral has you draw 1 and then play a land for free. Gruul, Simic, and Izzet Signets both work in the same way. You pay 1 and tap them to add both of their colors. Kodama's Reach is just Cultivate again. Rampant Growth searches you a basic land and puts it into the play tapped. Rites of Flourishing has everyone draw an extra card, and they can play an extra land on each of their turns. Sol Ring is Sol Ring. Soul Talisman is just Sol Ring again, but with Suspend 3. Tangled Florahedron can either be played as a green land or a mana dork. Teferi's Ageless Insight doubles your draws, except your first draw on each of your draw steps. Lastly, Wizard Class removes your hand limit, draws you 2 on its first level up, and its 3rd level puts a +1/+1 counter on a creature you control whenever you draw a card. For lands, you've got Buried Ruin, Cinderglade, Command Tower, Detection Tower, Exotic Orchard, Fabled Passage, Game Trail, Reliquary Tower, Rogue's Passage, Sanctum of Eternity, Temple of Abandon, all 3 Thriving Lands, and Tyrite Sanctum. You've also got 9 forests, 4 islands, and 7 mountains. And that's the deck. I hope you enjoyed this video. I really enjoy this deck and how it's a spin on the Voltron style, because you are building up 1 creature, but you're trying to hit the most vulnerable player, because then you still hit the other 2 players. Now bear in mind, the extra damage that Kediss does to the 2 players that you did not attack does not count as combat damage. As for why I picked this color combo, you can probably make this work better with maybe Mardu. Maybe white or black would be good for this, but I just love Temur, and since I love Kediss so much and I love Temur so much, I just thought I would make this my one double favorites basically. So that's why I went with Temur, and that's why I needed either Kydele or Thrasios. If you can get Thrasios, he's really good for this deck. He's really good in any deck that he's in, but he's really good for ramping this deck. So if you did enjoy the video, leave a like, and please let us know what you liked about it in the comments below. Or tell us what you didn't like. Share your feedback. Subscribe for more from us in the future. And as always, have a great day, y'all.